Oh man. Make sure I can be heard. Let people come up in the room. Let's get this thing over here real quick. Check. Hold on. Let's do that over again real quick. Peace to the people coming up in the room. Let's connect this real quick. All right, there we go. We're back in effect. Move this over here. Now the people to come up in the room. When you come up in the room, what's going on? When you come up in the room, y'all know the rules. You know what to do. Put your city in the room. Put your city in the room. We gotta let the world know. We gotta let America know. We gotta let the world know that FBA is in full effect. It's not just a regional thing. We coming from everywhere. We got FBAs everywhere. FBAs are linear. So when you come in, let your put your city in there because they definitely watching. Put your city in if you in another country. Put your country up in there. Let them know because they watching. They definitely watching. And we got to break some stuff down today, man. I ain't go live all week. I had to come. We got Monroe, Louisiana up in the house, man. Let's pile up in the church, man. It's Sunday. Let's pile up in the church. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get everybody up in here. Houston in the house, right? We definitely got to have a conversation today about what's going on in Africa and their reparations argument and reparations plight, for sure. 504 in the house. Houston, Texas in the house. We definitely got to have a conversation about what they're doing and wait a minute. And why they have a problem with our delineation process. Trenton, Kentucky, right? Vanilla, Wisconsin up in here, right? Colorado in here. Let's pile in. Let's pile in. Let's pile in. Let's fill up the room. Let's fill up the room. Let's go. Let's go. Let's pile in. Hold on. Let's see. Let's make sure. Oh wow. Hold on. Let's make sure. I didn't want to click on. I didn't click on that. Hold on for a second, y'all. Yeah. Let's keep filling up the room. That's it. 2. Right. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I got that window. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's fill up the room. Let's fill up the room. We got Colorado in the house. Yeah, we gotta have a conversation because we've been having conversations talking about these immigrants is trying to write us out of the history, and the Democrats have been working tirelessly to replace us. And when we pay attention to what's going on, you have a lot of continental Africans that come over here and they say that we don't have culture. They talk down to us, right? They say that we're lazy. They say that we don't work hard. We're not doing all the things that other groups do. And then our arguments is always, well, why didn't they do it in their country, right? And I told you guys in my last couple live streams that they were going to use our talking points to try to commandeer, our movement because they know that we have the grassroots. They know that we have the ear of the youth. They know this. They know that we have the ear of the youth. Somebody said, "Aren't we supposed to be in church?" We in the church right now. We in the church right now. We ain't waiting for no Jesus to come save us. We're going to use the Christ within us to manifest reparations. We're going to use the power within us. We ain't waiting for no spook God to come save us, right? I'm talking to the congregation right now. We in the church right now, and we're going to manifest reparations by works. Faith without works is dead. So we're going to fill up the church today, and we ain't following that dogmatic Christianity stuff. No, we invoking the Most High within us, and we're going to work together as a group to do what we need to do to fix the generations going forward and the ones coming after us, right? Because we're seed planters. That's what we're going to do. We moving forward. We're not waiting for no mystery God to come out of the sky. The God is in you. We're going to manifest the God in us to get the things we want. because we're coming together now. We no longer divided. We no longer believe in the lie. We ain't waiting on that. We're not waiting on none of that. All that stuff is old and done away with. We in the church right now. Let's fill up the church. Let's fill up the church. I got to talk to the congregation today. I definitely got to talk to the people. So they're trying to commandeer. They're trying to commandeer our talking points and our reparations now. What's going on? What's going on? Yeah. So yeah, we got people. Yeah, that's right. We manifesting today. We manifesting today, right? I don't work off that dogmatic stuff that they got our people waiting. They got our people going, no, we supposed to manifest our realities. It's within you, right? You have the ability to create and manifest. They stopped you with years and years and years and years of conditioned trauma and your subconscious mind, so now you manifest nothing. Because the majority of our people suffer from the Freddy Krueger effect. You've lost your ability to dream, because the minute you go into the dream world to bring things from the unseen to the scene, Freddy is there to kill you. You don't even know you suffer from the Freddy Krueger effect. They got you, right? You've lost your ability to see yourself outside of your conditioning, because there's always a Negro there to tell you, man, you better not go down there talking to them white folks like that. You better not go down there dreaming like, well, man, you think too much. Nah, we ain't doing that no more. We're seeing ourselves out of this situation, and we're calling things that's not into existence now. That's what we're doing. So we in the sanctuary today, we're here today to call things that's not into existence because we said so. We're manifesting those realities now because we no longer suffer from the Freddy Krueger effect. We have our ability to dream again. We have our ability to imagine again. We are using our imagination to bring things from the unseen to the seen now. We're not living vicariously through somebody else's program, which produces nothing. We're no longer doing that, which produces nothing. Nothing. Look at the way we've been living. This ain't what, when we were children, this ain't what we dreamed for. This ain't what we imagined, right? So now we have to manifest our own realities. So no, I'm not in the church today. We're not waiting for no blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy to come save us. We're gonna save ourselves. We're gonna save ourselves, and we have the ability to save ourselves. And I gotta break the congregation out of the Freddy Krueger effect. See, they gave you that movie, and you thought you was watching a movie, but they was really playing with you in the mind. Once you lose your ability to dream, you living vicariously through somebody else's vision. So now you're dead. You're a slave because you no longer think for yourself. You no longer dream for yourself. That's why immigrants can come here and they can say you don't have a culture. Because we left our door wide open and we was producing for everybody else, but not ourselves, because we lost the ability to dream for ourselves. See, we didn't say we got Boston up in here. We got Las Vegas up in here. We didn't say, hey, when I put this child in this black woman's womb and they produce these multi-million-dollar athletes, we're gonna keep that within our communities. Right? Our inventions, we're going to keep those within our communities. We're going to keep all the stuff within our communities. We gave it away because we believed the white man's ice was colder. Kansas City, Missouri. Let's pile up the house. Let's pile up the house. We see foundational black Americans now are waking up now out of that Freddy Krueger effect. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back that's slow. When you watch that movie and you watched it, you thought you were being entertained. But when you went into the dream, see, remember, everything that's manifested in this thing comes from the unseen. The minute you went into the unseen world to dream, Freddy was there to knock you off. That's W supremacy. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you to have your own ideas. They want you to be okay with the Democratic plantation. They want you to be okay with immigrants and these immigrants running you out your communities. They want you to be okay with being gentrified out your communities. They want you to be okay with being reclassified 1,000 times and they can call you whatever they want to call you. And you like it. They don't want you to have a vision outside of their vision that they have for you. They don't want you to think like that. They want you to live vicariously through their vision and like it. That's what they want you. And then you add the Pan-African systems down, the Pan-Africans coming into place. The Pan-Africans also want you to be combined within their thought process. You are not allowed to think for yourself. You are not allowed to dream for yourself. You are not allowed to have your own visions. No, nobody told you. You're not even allowed to even name yourself. Everything that you do has to be included with everybody else. Who the hell do you think you are, foundational Black Americans? That's what they said. That's what they said about us. And they doing it right in front of our faces. They doing it right in front of our face. They doing it right in front of our face. We got Boston up in here. You said the question is, why do they think they have the authority over us? Because they know that they rocked our people to sleep. That's a great question. Let me highlight that over before we really get off into what we want to get off into. Hold on. I don't even see it no more over here. There you go. The question is, why do they think they have the authority over us? That's a great question. Because they rocked our people to sleep. FBA is a lineage of about between 40 to 60 million people. And the majority of our people are on that Democratic plantation, and they've been rocked to sleep. They've lost their ability to have that vision, right? They're no longer seed planters. They're not like Big Mama and them. Listen to what I'm telling you guys in the congregation today. They're not like Big Mama and them. They stopped being seed planters. They stopped planting seeds for the future. They stopped thinking about the ones going before the future. Everything that's associated with us had to be included with everybody else. That's why they believe they have the authority. We stopped walking up in that room with our own dreams and our own objectives for ourselves. We walked up in there and just Freddie Krueger's just slicing and dicing and telling you to get on board. So if you're not bringing things from the unseen to the seen, then you get what you get today. You get a whole community in the last 60 years that's manifested nothing, that's produced nothing. So now you get our arguments. Now you get a separation, right? You get a separation because they want to get assimilation, but we get a separation because there's a new generation of children and grandchildren that are being raised up that are saying, no, we don't want to be a part of that no more. We don't want to be down with that no more. We want to be separated from that because the past years and generations it's been a colossal failure and it hasn't worked. We see how these other groups come here and they don't practice Pan-Africanism. We see how these other groups come here and now they build communities to be separate from us. But you're telling us to be exclusive. They separate from us while saying we should be exclusive at the same time. That's because we've lost the powers that be that look like us, lost their ability to dream. They lost their vision. It's over with. They lost it. They gave it away. So now, watch this, y'all. You have a whole bunch of people online mad at foundational Black Americans. You have a whole bunch of people online mad at foundational Black Americans. And one will have to ask the question, why? They say that the African-American foundational Black Americans are divisive. They're dividing the group. They are being divisive. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. How is foundational Black Americans being divisive? When you've never had a collective. Remember, Pan-Africanism is a thought process, is a dream, it's a thought, right? Out in South Africa and Ghana, but they wasn't practicing it. It's been a colossal failure. It's been something that they believe they can come into fruition, but I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Africa never had the military in place to defend those resources and the lands that's under their feet. So Pan-Africanism would never work. I'm going to say it again. Like Umar Johnson 3 times. Pan-Africans never ever had the military to defend the riches and resources that was under their feet. So Pan-Africanism was doomed to fail. It would never work. How can you have a Pan-African structure in place when you can't stop colonialism, when you can't stop the Francophone in West Africa, when you can't take control of South Africa, right? When you can't take control of Kenya? How can you have a Pan-African set in place when you don't have a navy to stop these people from traveling through your waters and coming into your borders? How can you have a Pan-Africanism when you don't have a Air Force fleet? How is that going to work? How is that going to work? You control 75% of the world's resources, and the world is full of gangsters and suits. They all coming for it. What military do you have in Africa that's in place to protect your interests? So how can Pan-Africanism work? So now, see, I'm not stupid. You're trying to play me. You're trying to hold me to a standard that don't exist. You're trying to hold me to an all-inclusive standard. See, the real truth is they never had a military to protect their interests. And a lot of the Africans and some of the brothers and sisters from the Caribbean looked at you as Black Americans with a sense of jealousy, because they believed you achieved the things you achieved because you had close proximity to whites. I said it. Yeah, I said it. They believe that and I proved that in prior live streams, the only reason why you was able to achieve the greatness that you achieved that influenced the world was because you had close proximity to whiteness. Africa has never demonstrated the ability to tell the European to kick rocks. Never. Even though they outnumber them 10-1. They have never been able to show a demonstration. So even in their push for during this 2030 agenda run, their push for reparations, they have to ask the UN for reparations and hope that the W man would give it to them. Because Africa don't have no military to tell the W to go in and smack them up and say, well, give us our reparations. They don't have that. So why are you coming over here trying to hold us to a Pan-African standard that don't exist? Show me where Nigeria can go over to France or go over to Britain and tell them, yo, dig this here, man. We need our money for what you did to us, and smack them around a little bit. They ain't got that kind of power. So when we unpack that, when we unpack the truth, we're starting to see now what they're doing, because now I can break it down to you guys. Now what they're doing is, the reason why they're coming after foundational Black Americans so much, because they need your story. Your story is the story that's went worldwide, that everybody gravitates to. It's what happened in the diaspora and what happened to the Americas. So now when you're saying that I'm separated, I'm not African, I'm foundational Black Americans, I know that I have African descent. I know that I may be of African descent, but I'm not an African. My family has been in America for X amount of years. It messes up their reparations claim, because the catalyst to their reparations claim is the transatlantic slave trade. That's the catalyst. The people they claim that was stolen from Ghana, the Ivory Coast, Benin. So they need you to be affiliated. So the minute you start saying that you're separating, you're being divisive. While at the same time, you can't go to Nigeria or Ghana and get citizenship or land. No, they stiff arming you. They giving you the stiff arm. But they need you to be connected to the story. You're not allowed to have your own story. See, when I was telling y'all that Black History Month is, when they were saying Black History Month is for everybody, because it goes along with their 2030 narrative. It goes along with their 2063 initiative and their agenda. See, there's agendas on the table that's being worked on right up under your eyes, and we got to pay attention. See, you have the UN 2030 agenda, then you have Africa's 2025, AU 2025 through 2036 agenda. Hold on. Hey, listen. Tigapy. So let's slow down for a minute. While I'm teaching, I don't want nobody putting all that stuff in the chat right now because you're distracting from what I'm teaching. When I'm doing that, I can get all that. We can get all that. I'm gonna break some of that down today, but I don't want nobody distracting while I'm teaching the people in the congregation right now. We'll get to all that, right? If not, go fire up a live stream, brother, and teach. But you're distracting the people while I'm teaching. So that's all I'm asking for is some respect. That's all I'm asking for. Right? I'll teach. I'm gonna get into that. But you remember, you in the house while the person is teaching, you're disrupting the teacher. You don't know what I'm gonna present today. So that's all I'm saying. You don't know what I'm gonna present. You gotta let me do the presentation, right? That's what we gotta do. I'm doing the presentation. I'm gonna break down our the Treaty of 1866 and Articles 2 and 4 today, and what went on for the freedmen and the refugee Indians. I'm gonna break that down. Matter of fact, let me show you something. But when we teaching, we gotta respect the room, man. But don't nobody time my brother out. Don't nobody time him out. It's all right. It's okay. But hold on. I'm gonna show you real quick. We're gonna get into that today. We're gonna get into that today. That's already on the docket, right? And what was for the freedmen, that's on the docket already. The different treaties and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna break that down today in the live stream. But not just yet. I'm building it up. Before we get there. We also gonna break down the Freedmen's Bank and what they did to the Freedmen's Bank. Right? So when people come here and they say that we wasn't building enough for them, our people, we haven't been taking advantage of the opportunities. Like you got immigrants with the mitigated gall and audacity to come here and say that Black Americans haven't been taking advantage of the opportunities that's been given to them. When we created the opportunities for them. See, y'all understand something. Like we always tell you immigrants, you guys don't exist here in America without us. We created the opportunities. We got it popping. While we was getting it popping over here, creating opportunities, you guys wasn't developing militaries and everything to protect your land, your homeland, right? See, and the reason why I'm saying that, because you come here and throw shots at us. Because you come here and you may become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you make some money, and you throw shots at us, right? Because you never came here to take the time to study our history of our story and who we were. I found out that when I'm having conversations with Africans, a lot of times I know more about Africa than they do. I've studied more about Africa than they do. All they know about is their tribe. Most of them don't know anything about Africa outside of their tribe. I know this from having experienced conversations with a lot of Africans. It's alarming. But then you come here and you want to hold us to a standard. You need to hold us to a standard. Because your reparations story has to intertwine with ours. So the way that they're saying it is, we were stolen off the shores of West Africa and brought to the Americas on ships. So we are stolen people that they never came back for. We are stolen people that they never used resources to make sure we was good. We are stolen people that they never acknowledged. We are stolen people that can't go back there and get citizenship. We are stolen people that can't go back there and we're not offered land. We are stolen people that they come here and say that we're not African. Those same stolen people that they said for decades now. They're now trying to reconnect us back to their story. And we're saying, what we're saying is, what we're saying is, we don't hate Africans. We just have our own story here. What happened to us here in America in the last 500 years, we have our own story. And our story is not mixed in with your story. Our story is not mixed in with your story. Our story is our story that needs to be told, that needs to be heard. Because a lot of y'all come here and know nothing about our story, know nothing about what we've been through, nothing. But then you got a lot to say. You start running your mouth. Look at those lazy people. But then when we say something about you guys, see, just think about it. You come into somebody's house and you never take the time. You never take the time to learn who those people are. And what's the driving force behind these people. You never take the time to learn these things. Never. But then you start speaking ill and bad about these people. And you start siding with W supremacy against those people. While at the same time, wanting to use our story and our plight to push your reparations agenda. So we got 263 people. Let's share the screen. Let's get off into this thing. Let's get to it. So we're going to start here, right? We're going to start here so people can get a understanding, right? You got the UN 2030 agenda, transforming our world, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, right? The agenda is a plan for action for people, planet, prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and larger freedom. We recognize that eradicating poverty in all forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and indispensable requirement for sustainable development. All countries and all stakeholders acting in collaborative partnership will implement this plan, right? We are resolved to free the human race from the tyranny of poverty and want to heal and secure our planet. We are determined to take the world and the bold and transformative steps which are urgently needed to shift the world into sustainable and a resilient path, right? So these are the agendas, right? People, we are determined to end poverty and hunger in all forms and dimensions and to ensure that all humans can fulfill their potential and dignity in equality and a healthy environment, right? Prosperity. We are determined to ensure that all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives, that economic, social, and technological process occurs in harmony with the nature. Peace. We are determined to foster peaceful, just, inclusive societies. That's real important. Peaceful, just, inclusive societies, which are free from fear and violence. There can be no sustainable development without peace, and no peace without sustainable development. Now, what does that mean for the world, and where do we come into play with that? Well, hold on. You get to Africa is uniting for a call for reparations for historical injustices, right? Right? For historical injustices. Let me make this a little bigger so I can see it. All this is connected to the 2030 agenda. Oh, man. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's go right down here, right? In the African context, reparations for historical injustices committed by former colonial powers, especially for transatlantic slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism between the 16th and 20th century, have been championed by governments and civil society organizations long before decolonization ended yet. They have rarely materialized. It is a renewed effort to advance their demands. Africa's head of states officially launched the 2025 African Union theme, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. During the 38th AU Summit, February 12th to 16, 2025, aiming to craft a common African position on reparations and strengthen the AU's capacity to provide technical support to member states. The initiative has placed reparations at the core of the AU's long-term priorities. African states' ongoing diplomatic push presents a complex challenges for countries which are at the forefront of the transatlantic slave trade and African colonization, including France, the UK, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and the Netherlands, right? As their partnerships with African states on more equitable terms to preserve their privileged relations with the continent. Now listen to that. It says to preserve their privilege. They don't have to preserve nothing. You don't have a military to defend anything. They can tell you what to do. Listen, you get out of line, they just come in there and smack you around, or they pay another tribe to take you out, right? Like at a time when the latter are engaging more closely with actors like China, Russia, Turkey, and the Gulf countries who are in this respect privileged for their lack of colonial past in Africa, capable to the West experience. So they're telling you that they still got to go outside of themselves to get help to help them develop Africa, because they still don't have the ability to protect or develop themselves, but they want you to hold on to Pan-Africanism. Now, this is important because these are events that happened last year, right? These are events, but they're upset because we are causing too much noise now. Hold on. Although this year's AU summit was overshadowed by the pressing issues posed by conflicts raging in Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo, the inauguration of reparations themes mark a significant development in AU's reparatory justice agenda. Right. So now they have this agenda, but there's one snag. There's one problem. Black Americans, foundational Black Americans is not on board with what's going on. They need us to be on board with that. And we're saying, no, how does that benefit us, right? How does that benefit us when you guys have never included us in anything, right? How does that agenda, and they're pushing that agenda now because the UN has a world 2030 agenda. So it's all connected. Right. So now they're trying to say, well, we need to get in on this 2030 agenda for sustainable development so that way we can get resources from these countries, because this is what the World Economic Forum is practicing now. Going forward, sustainable rights for women, LGBTQ, right? Basically helping the weak, right? So let's look at some more of this and what they're doing, right? Let's look at some more of this and what they're doing. President Mamba leads global campaign for reparatory justice at the UN, right? For reparatory justice at the UN, right? Now, this is the question that I have. Who's at the UN when he's speaking representing foundational Black Americans? Who is this person that will be at the table that will raise his hand and say, hey, I'm the representative of foundational Black Americans and their agenda that will speak on the behalf of their interests, right? Who's there? Who's there to speak on that? Ghana's president, John Mubambi, has announced plans to table a resolution at the UN National General Assembly on March 2026, seeking global recognition on the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. Now, I keep telling you, they're going to keep using that, right? But we have to ask the question, as Ghana, wait a minute. You guys are using the transatlantic slave as the gravest, but where do we come into that? What is Ghana's relationship with the foundational Black American? There's a lot of questions that hasn't been answered. President Mubamba revealed that the process was initiated following his address at the 80th session of the UN General Assembly in September last year, where he signaled Ghana's renewed commitment to the global reparations agenda. Reparatory justice will not be handed to us like independence. It must be secured through unity and determination, he stated. He said through unity and determination. So now we're being called divisive, and they're sending out their troops to go after us. So people like Sandra Babu, Umar Johnson, and hold on, because I want y'all to see me when I tell you this. In the next coming year or so, they're going to fund a lot of Africans, African Americans, Caribbean people, and they're coming full-fledged from foundational Black Americans because they have a world agenda on the table where they're going to the UN and the World Court for reparations. And we're saying, we're not them. We're separated from them. We have our own story. So now, when foundational Black Americans say that they're separating from that, that messes up the whole plan. That puts that becomes a problem, right? That becomes a problem. So now this is why you see so many of these people now having a problem with FBA. Because think about it, y'all. FBA ain't the problem. Foundational Black American term haven't been around that long. How can you think about this? How can you have a problem with foundational Black American, the term foundational Black American, right? When the Hebrew Israelites, the Black church, the clergy members, Black politicians, the Nation of Islam, all these groups that will be a part of what foundational Black Americans will be a part of, that's been around, has been a colossal failure in this country, right? And we haven't seen any decades of unity between the African, the Caribbean, and the foundational Black American. There has not been a unified front. It don't exist. But it's easy to be mad at foundational Black Americans because they're the low-hanging fruit, because we're one of the first very loud vocal voices that's saying, hey, the old way of thinking failed. We're not a part of none of that. We pulling out, player. While other groups was practicing this, Black Americans wasn't. And now they're saying they're pulling out. So now when you're saying you're pulling out, and I'm showing you guys that they have an agenda. Now we're going against a world agenda that they have on the table. So now they're going to pay their people to come after you. And remember what I told you, they're going to use everything at their disposal to try to make it seem like what we're talking is hate speech. We're divisive, right? They're gonna have people on TikTok, Instagram, everything, because there's an agenda going on. Let's get back to the agenda. He described 2025 designated as the African Union Year of Justice through reparations as a turning point to push for accountability and redress for African and people of African descent affected by slavery and colonialism. According to President Mubamba, significant steps have already been taken, including the establishment of the AU coordination team and a committee of experts on reparations. Additional engagements have also been held in major global institutions such as the United Nations and UNESCO, alongside high-level discussions across 4 continents. He noted that the renewed campaign aims to reframe reparations as forward-looking instruments for justice, equality, and structural transformations rather than solely as compensation for historical wrongs. President Mubamba further called the AU member states to strengthen national institutions, establish reparations commissions, and intensify diplomatic efforts to secure formal apologies. Now, this is the thing. Where was the Africans at when Umar was trying to open up that school? Where was Ghana at? The Ghana government couldn't give them $1 million to open up that school. One thing I know for a fact, coming through Pan-Africanism, when you go to these Pan-African pages, they don't even got 500 people in the room. They can't even get 500 people in the room. Pan-Africans don't support Pan-Africanism. These agendas are bullshit. Y'all remember a couple years back, what the Ethiopian president said about us? Y'all remember? Hold on. Y'all remember this?
በአሜሪካ ነገር ውስጥ ከህገ መንግስታቸው በፊት ትልቅ ጭቆና ነበር። ያ ጭቆና በከፍተኛ ሁኔታ በትሩ ነው።
Now he's saying in America before their constitution there was some severe oppression, particularly on blacks and Jews. After the enactment of their constitution, the Jews decided to look forward and prosper, while the blacks chose to look backwards and complain. And what's been done to them through their music, through their arts and music, right? This is what a president is saying, right? Look, hold on.
ዘፈኑ፣ ግጥሙ፣ ፊልሙ፣ ድራማ ወደፊት ሆነ።
Jews, hold on. Let's look at this.
የተጎዳ የሚባል ማህበረሰብ ጥቁርና ጁ
In the US, the most to oppress and hurt communities used to be black and Jews.
ሁለቱም ተገርፈዋል፣ ተጨቆነዋል።
Both communities were oppressed, arrested and beaten.
ታስረዋል፣ እንዳይሰሩ ሀብት እንዳያደረጁ ሆነ።
They were made not to work and gain wealth. Watch.
ልዩነቱ
the difference between Jews and the blacks,
ከሲቪል ራይት በኋላ ትንሽ መብት መታየት ሲጀምር
the Jews after freedom they focus on the future. The songs, films, poems and dramas became about the future.
ዘፈኑ፣ ግጥሙ፣ ፊልሙ፣ ድራማ ወደፊት ሆነ።
They focus on how to conquer the world and created power.
ዓለምን ኮንከር ማድረግ እንደሚችል፣ ኢኮኖሚክ ፓወር መፍጠር እንደሚችል ያስባል።
And the blacks standing here now focus on yesterday's history. Hold on. This is important.
ጥቁር ደግሞ እዚህ ላይ ቆሞ ትናንትና ከገረፉ ገደሉ እንዲያ
They tell themselves that they were killed, beaten and arrested.
ያደረጉ ይላል። አሁን ያለው ትውልድ
and the new generation of African American made to live on yesterday's history.
ትናንትና ውስጥ እንዲኖር አደረጉ።
Jews made their generation think for the future.
እነዚህ ደግሞ አሁን ነገ ውስጥ እንዲያስብ አደረጉት። 50 ዓመት
It wasn't even 50 years Jews became rich and powerful. Now I'm a break old.
ሁላም ጁ ሀብታም ሆነ፣ ጁ ፓወርፉል ሆነ፣ ጥቁር
and blacks became free poor men.
ነፃ ደሃ ሆነ።
They got freedom, they can sing, but they couldn't rid of their poverty.
ነፃነቱን አግኝቷል፣ መዝፈን ይችላል፣ ግን ደህንነቱን መቀየር አልቻለም።
Now, hold on. Watch this, y'all. I'm going to show y'all something. Hi, I'm Solomon. Okay. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to show y'all something real quick, but I'm going to break something down before I show you. And this is why you can't unify with these people. Because think about this, family. When you have a world leader like that get up on a podium and speak that way in the manner in which he spoke, he's not the only one to think like that. He's not the only one that carries that thought process. He's very misinformed. Or no, matter of fact, let me stop. He's very well informed, but he's highly paid by that protected class to speak that way. Because he in America, those people, certain groups of those people went through persecution. That's true. But they was never treated like we were. Let me show you guys something so that way I can give clarity and an outstanding understanding to what I'm saying. Let me give you guys some clarity real fast. I want you guys to see this. Some of y'all may have never seen this before. This man right here, name is Chaim Solomon. And I want you to see this here. Chaim Solomon was a Polish-born American merchant, best known for his actions during the American Revolution, where he was one of the prime financiers to the Continental Congress. Born in Lesno, Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth, Solomon studied finance in Western Europe before immigrating to New York City in 1775. After the American Revolution War broke out in that same year, Solomon supported the Patriots by providing financial services while working alongside financier Robert Morris. Y'all know the college Robert Morris. The superintendent of France of the United States and risked his life as a member of the Sons of Liberty, leading to multiple arrests by the British for espionage, right? By espionage. Now, he helped convert French loans into hard currency by selling bills of exchange on Morris' behalf and also brokered large donations to the Patriot cause. This included a critical $20,000 loan in 1781 that enabled George Washington's decisive Yorktown campaign, a turning point of independence. From 1781 to 1784, Solomon helped provide over $650,000, right? 15 million in 2025. He was also an advocate for the religious liberty by co-founding Philadelphia's Mikhail Israel Synagogue. Right? Synagogue, right? So I want y'all to see because I gotta break this down because it's Sunday, we in the church, and we gotta educate the foundational Black Americans on what we up against and what's happening here, right? Chaim Solomon was born on April 7, 1740, right, to a Sephardic Jewish family descended from Spanish and Portuguese Jews who gradually migrated to Poland following the expulsion of Jews from Spain in 1492, right? So, let me go down here. Let's go down here. During his adult travels to Western Europe, Solomon acquired knowledge of finance and fluency in some of the languages of the day. He returned to Poland in 1790, but left for England 2 years later in the wake of the first partition of Poland in 1772. In 1775, he immigrated to New York City, where he established himself as a finance broker for American merchants engaged in overseas trade. So now, this is the thing. Financing of the American War. Once resettled in my city in Philadelphia, Solomon resumed his activities as a broker. He became an agent for the French consul as well as a paymaster for French forces in North America. In 1781, he began working extensively with Robert Morris, the newly appointed superintendent of France of the United States, right? So now he raised all of this money. Now, what do you mean by this, George? What does this mean? Let me come back where y'all guys can see me. Let me ask the chat room a question. If you're fighting the war and you come to me with an idea, and I give you the money to help finance your idea, and your idea turns into a multi-global conglomerate, multi-trillion-dollar global conglomerate, what do you owe me? What do you owe me? Before I proceed, because I want to make sure that the people watching have an understanding for what I'm doing right now. Oh, ain't none of my mods in there? Oh, hold on. None of my mods in there. Any of my mods, man, if that Nigerian dude is foundation dude is in here talking trash, let me see. Oh, yeah. Hey, let me just say this. Everybody in the chat, ignore him. You know what? No, don't time him out, y'all. Everybody in the chat room, not the Nigerian dude, just let him say whatever you want to say. Just ignore him. Let's just stay focused. Don't even pay him no mind. He don't even exist in our world. We building over here. All right. That's what I want everybody to do. Everybody just ignore it. All right, so before I go forward, if I come to you with an idea, and before the idea takes place, there's a whole bunch of things going on. But we're coming to establish ourselves within the land. But we don't have the resources to do it. And I give you the money. How much I give you the money to fulfill your dream? You don't have the money. I give you the money and the resources. And I use my political power to help you do it. How much are indebted to me are you? I want somebody to tell me, so that way before I go forward. How much indebted to me are you? Before I move forward, I want to know. How much indebted to me are you? If I come, right? If I come, hold on. If I come and I provide the money for your American dream, for America to become America, right? I broker and provide the resources and the money for you. What do you owe me? What do you owe me? Now, let me ask you a question before I go forward. How many of y'all ever heard of this man, Haim Solomon, or Robert Morris? Put a 1 in the chat if you ever heard of Haim Solomon, which was a small hat. And this is important because you guys need to know this. How many of you guys ever heard of Haim Solomon? I'm waiting for a response. Put a 1 if you ever heard of Haim Solomon. Put a 2 if you didn't. Right? So now, George, why are you saying all this and what does this mean? So when you got a man, a small hat, that's a funder to the Revolutionary War, and he's considered a traitor to the other side. He's funding them, right? And he's a Jew. And then you find out that throughout our story, the small hats is connected through everything from funding to getting rights. They connected to our plight in our story, right? But when you go back and you say, well, damn, this man right here, he was giving the bread up for them to fight in the war to achieve their dream, right? And then you look over here, because remember, they was telling you at the time that they was being oppressed. They wasn't having no rights. That African dude was saying that when they got freedom, they sought power and went forward. We was complaining, right? Well, they had Supreme Court justices all on the Supreme Courts. They was able to pass for the W, man, and move around. They had privatized banking. They had a whole bunch of different things. They had Goldman Sachs and Lehman. They had all these different things, right, that was going on where they was able to finance a lot of things. And we got to be careful because they call it I don't want to be called an anti-Semitist, right? But I'm showing you guys that these people were being nominated by presidents to be on the Supreme Court, just to be on Supreme Courts all the way back in the 30s, 1916, right, to 1939, nominated by Woodrow Wilson. So what I'm saying is, when that African man talk, he don't know what he's talking about. Because we got a whole story, right, of highway robbery. Hold on. We got a whole story of this.
In that agrarian economy, you're just labor. Land is capital. And so to gain money and wealth and to have freedom, you have to have land.
I made $1 bed. Look is all I've had.
At the end of the war, President Abraham Lincoln had promised the freedmen 40 acres of land per family. But those promises died with Lincoln's assassination.
Instead of 40 acres and a mule, they got the Freedmen's Bank. So instead of land, they were given a bank.
Union soldiers were getting bonuses, So the idea was to create a way to encourage the men to save the money so they wouldn't go squander it or be defrauded out of the money.
It was sold to the freedmen as better than giving you the land. You will earn the money through wages and you will save it and you'll buy your own land and you'll feel better about that. Never mind that hundreds of years of working the land didn't count for earning the land.
The Freedmen's Bank was privately held, owned, and managed by wealthy white men. But the bank's aggressive marketing conveyed a different impression to its Black depositors.
The passbooks, the notes, all featured, the heroes. It was Abraham Lincoln, it was General Grant, Howard. It was very targeted. So people were saying, these are the men who freed us. And they're saying, come to this bank.
In freedom, some skilled African Americans saved their hard-earned capital at the Freedmen's Bank and went into business for themselves. For some Black business people, personal services were the clearest path to success, and sometimes wealth.
They recognize that their ability to have a particular kind of skill set.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention because I want y'all to see how they sabotaged us over the years, right? And what they did with these banks. Now, at the time of the Freedmen's Banks, they had injunctions on there that protected us. These white financiers fought to get these off where they can take our money that we was putting into the bank and make these shoddy investments and keep the money while at the same time defrauding the bank and making the bank go under. So that's how we lost our money, because they came in and basically sabotaged the bank, right? So now you have this Ethiopian president talking his trash, but he's not showing his history. He's not teaching his people that we had banks, we had communities, we had even under the Civil Rights Act 1866, we were supposed to be protected, but they wasn't protecting us from state law that was enacted, right? Now, we're going to break certain things down, because even under the Freedmen's, with the Treaty of 1866 with the Cherokees, there was a lot of things that was supposed to be allotted to us that we never got as well. But let's proceed as well.
Which was something that the white population needed, allowed them a certain kind of mobility and freedom.
Many of them were able to cash in on expectations that they were replicating their servant roles, where whites were in power and African Americans were serving them. For example, a number of Black barbers continued to keep their exclusively white clientele after the war.
All these barbers spent that time in the barbershop, nurturing these relationships with white men, and used that money from the barbershop to help fund and to help fuel a Black economic movement within their own communities.
From barbershops to grocery stores, Black businesses relied on the Freedmen's Bank. But a decade after it was founded, Bank President Henry Cook was running the Freedmen's Bank into the ground.
Here was Cook saying, look at all this money. They're putting their money in my bank, and whenever I need it, I'm gonna reach in and get it.
Henry Cook starts looting the bank. He just starts taking this money and lending it or giving it to some friends and acquaintances, just putting the capital into railroad bonds, which was the subprime market of the day.
With the Freedmen's Bank on the verge of collapse, the federal government turned to the best-known African-American leader in the country to salvage it.
It was too late.
Congress brought in Frederick Douglass to serve as the new president of the Freedmen's Bank. Initially, he invested $10,000 of his own money as a way to shore up the bank, as well as to encourage other African Americans to continue to deposit their money into the bank. But the bank was beyond saving. So Douglass had to go to Congress and say that the bank was bankrupt and it needed to close.
The fact is, I was married to a corpse. I found that I had been placed there with the hope that by some drugs or some mighty magic, I would bring it back. But the life, which was the money, was gone.
The hard-earned savings of the freedmen were lost just in the markets, just poof. And nobody gets prosecuted. This was white-collar crime, actual just crime. It was theft, and nobody goes to prison for it.
Not even 10 additional years of slavery could have done so much to throttle the thrift of the freedmen as the mismanagement and bankruptcy of the series of savings banks chartered by the nation for their special aid.
From 1865 to 1874, about 70,000 people deposited the equivalent of $1.3 billion in modern day numbers. So African Americans enthusiastically embraced the Freedmen's Bank. It was a deep loss for African Americans and a loss of a vast amount of Black wealth.
Soon after the collapse of the bank, the federal government withdrew from the South, returning control of the region to former slave owners. The dream of full citizenship for African Americans came to a screeching halt.
We see the... Let me pause it real quick. And this is why we can't unite with these people, because they run their mouth about us, but they need us to be connected to their reparations story. But then he goes and he speaks about this protected class he speaks about the protected class that a lot of people don't understand on why they have so much power. They have power in America because there is no America without them. America don't exist without them. The treaties, the everything, that it don't exist. A lot of things, that party, that group took part in a lot of things, but they was also at the forefront of financing things, right? So now we can see how we got railroad and sabotaged here, right? We can see what they did to us, right? When they believed after the war and during Reconstruction, they believed that we needed ways to finance ourselves, right? They believed that we needed ways to finance ourselves. So what happened was, you have somebody like this guy here, Thaddeus Stevenson. And, you know, he was a fierce opponent of slavery and discrimination against Black Americans. Stevens sought to secure their rights during Reconstruction, leading the opposition to the U.S. President Andrew Johnson. As chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee during the American Civil War, he played a leading role, focusing his attention on defeating the Confederacy, financing the war with new taxes and borrowing, crushing the power of slave owners, ending slavery, and securing equal rights for the freedmen, right? He was one of the ones that believed that he drew up a plan that the confiscated land from the Confederates, whom they called traitors, was supposed to be given to foundational Black Americans, right? Stevens, hold on, let's go down to his plan. Amen. All right, here we go. Stevens argued, make this a little bigger. Stevens argued that slavery should not survive the war and was frustrated with the slowness of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln to support his position. He guided the government's financial legislations through the House as ways and means of chairman. As the war progressed towards the Northern victory, Stevens came to believe that not only should slavery be abolished, but that Black Americans should be given a stake in the South's future through the confiscation of land from planters to be distributed to the freedmen. His plans went too far for the moderate Republicans and were not enacted. After the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in 1865, Stevens came into conflict with the new president, Andrew Johnson, who sought rapid restorations to the seceded states without guarantees for freedmen. The difference in views caused an ongoing battle between Johnson and Congress, with Stevens leading the radical Republicans. After gains in the 1866 election, the radicals took control of Reconstruction away from Johnson. Stevens' last great battle was to secure the House. We're basically trying to get him impeached, but he was the one fighting for the freedmen, right? That we never got. So then we go over to here, right? When Johnson took back. We go over here, right? See, and we got to break this stuff down because a lot of people don't know this story.
Headquarters, Military Division of the Mississippi. In the field, Savannah, Georgia, January 16, 1865. Number 1. The islands from Charleston south, the abandoned rice fields along the rivers were 30 miles back from the sea, and the country bordering the St. Johns River, Florida, are reserved and set apart for the settlement of the Negroes, now made free by the acts of war and the proclamation of the President of the United States. Number 2. At Beaufort Hilton Head, Savannah, Fernandina, St. Augustine, and Jacksonville, the blacks may remain in their chosen or accustomed vocations, but on the islands, and in the settlements hereafter to be established, no white person whatever, unless military.
This is they're using that to tell the story of Special Order 15 on what lands that was granted to us, but then was rescinded and take it back. See, they put a lot of laws. Hold on for a second. They put a lot of laws on the books, but we wasn't protected under these laws. There was a lot of broken promises that was never delivered to our people. See, we had a story, and after the slavery was over, right? They started enacting black codes and everything else, right? When Rutherford took President Hayes took the troops out of the South, all hell broke loose, and we didn't have that protection no more. And they just started just running crazy, wiping us out, wiping out whole cities, right? I'm talking about just wiping whole cities out. But let's just proceed some more.
Military officers and soldiers, detailed for duty, will be permitted to reside, and the sole and exclusive management of affairs will be left to the freed people themselves, subject only to the United States military authority, and the acts of Congress. By the laws of war, and orders of the President of the United States, the Negro is free, and must be dealt with as such. He cannot be subjected to conscription, or forced military service, save by the written orders of the highest military authority of the department, under such regulations as the President or Congress may prescribe. Domestic servants, blacksmiths, carpenters, and other mechanics, will be free to select their own work and residence, but the young and able-bodied Negroes must be encouraged to enlist as soldiers in the service of the United States, to contribute their share toward maintaining their own freedom, and securing their rights as citizens of the United States. Negroes, so enlisted, will be organized into companies, battalions, and regiments, under the orders of the United States military authorities, and will be paid, fed, and clothed, according to law. The bounties paid on enlistment may, with the consent of the recruit, go to assist his family in settlement in procuring agricultural implements, seed, tools, boats, clothing, and other articles necessary for their livelihood. Number 3. Whenever 3 respectable Negroes, heads of families, shall desire to settle on land, and shall have selected for that purpose, an island, or a locality clearly defined within the limits above designated, the inspector of settlements and plantations will himself, or...
And see, let me do this real quick. I'm playing this because I know that we got a lot of young people, and a lot of young people are here in the FBA, but you got to know our story. We got to get past using talking points that sound good. We got to know the story. It's easy for me to get out here and hoop and howl and scream and get 1,600 people in the room, but I know when I start teaching this, a lot of people want to talk FBA, but the story, the FBA story, they don't want. That's boring. It just sound good. Like you want people to come on here and just talk all day and get at immigrants. No, forget them. We got to know our story. And so now when we bring this to the table in different places, and I'm gonna read off this stuff and explain some of these things to you.
By such subordinate officer as he may appoint, give them a license to settle such island or district, and afford them such assistance as he can, to enable them to establish a peaceable agricultural settlement. The 3 parties named will subdivide the land, under the supervision of the inspector among themselves, and such others as may choose to settle near them, so that each family shall have a plot of not more than 40 acres of tillable ground, and when it borders on some water channel, with not more than 800 feet waterfront, in the possession of which land the military authorities will afford them protection until such time as they can protect themselves or until Congress shall regulate their title. The quartermaster may, on the requisition of the inspector of settlements and plantations, place at the disposal of the inspector one or more of the captured steamers, to ply between the settlements, and one or more of the commercial points, heretofore named in orders, to afford the settlers the opportunity to supply their necessary wants, and to sell the products of their land and labor. Number 4. Whenever a Negro has enlisted in the military service of the United States.
Now, I want y'all to understand the timeline here, right? So that way you can get an understanding for what's going on. You have Special Order 15 at the time, right? Coming out after the war. Remember, we fought the war, right? And we were supposed to be we awarded and rewarded things for the war, for our participation in fighting in this war, right? So we fought in the war. So you guys feel Special Order 15 that was given to us, but it was rescinded by Andrew Johnson, right? Thaddeus Stevens was fighting against him because Thaddeus Stevens believed that land that we worked was supposed to be given to the freedmen. That was supposed to be for our land, right? But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just them, right? We had land. We also was part of the Native American tribes, right? So when you get to the Native American tribes, right? Let me tell you what how everybody did us dirty, right? Everybody did us dirty, right? So you get to these treaties, and hold on a second. You get to these treaties, and when you get to these treaties were set in place by Cherokees. You know how a lot of y'all say, well, my mama say I'm Cherokee. My grandmama say I'm Chickasaw, and I'm these different groups. I'm Lumbee, I'm Tuscarora, and I'm all these different groups, right? Well, when we read these articles, right, you get to the treaty with the Cherokee in 1866. So you have the Civil Rights Act of 1866, right? Hold on, real quick. You have the Civil Rights Act of 1866, right, where they like to play certain wordplay and how they play this. And I'm going to explain that next, but I just want y'all to see that, but I want y'all to see these are two different things. So you have the Treaty of 1866, right? Right? The Treaty of 1866, it says, amnesty is hereby declared by the United States and the Cherokee Nation for all crimes and misdemeanors committed by one Cherokee. Wait a minute. 1 second. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. Darn, what I clicked on something. Hold on. Let me fix this. Oh, man. But the Cherokee should not stipulate the ordinance. Why? What did I just do? Hold on. Let me play some more of this. I'm gonna come back to that because I messed something up real fast. Hold on. Let me play some more of this.
He may locate his family in any one of the settlements at pleasure, and acquire a homestead, and all other rights and privileges of a settler, as though present in person. In like manner, Negroes may settle their families and engage on board the gunboats or, in fishing, or, in the navigation of the inland waters, without losing any claim to land or other advantages derived from this system. But no one, unless an actual settler as above defined or unless absent on government service, will be entitled to claim any right to land or property in any settlement by virtue of these orders. Number 5. In order to carry out this system of settlement, a general officer will be detailed as inspector of settlements and plantations, whose duty it shall be to visit the settlements, to regulate their police and general management, and who will furnish personally to each head of a family subject to the approval of the President of the United States, a possessor title in writing, giving as near as possible the description of boundaries, and who shall adjust all claims or conflicts that may arise under the same, subject to the like approval, treating such titles altogether as possessory. The same general officer will also be charged with the enlistment and organization of the Negro recruits, and protecting their interests, while absent from their settlements, and will be governed by the rules and regulations prescribed by the War Department, for such purpose. Number 6. Brigadier General Rufus Saxton is hereby appointed Inspector of Settlements and Plantations, and will at once enter on the performance of his duties. No change is intended or desired in the settlement.
Now, when you see the underlying thing here is this, right? All these were promises that was supposed to be enacted that was never fulfilled. These promises wasn't fulfilled. We didn't get the things that we were supposed to get from the U.S. government. But even in these so-called Native American nations, we still didn't get it, right? We didn't get things that was supposed to be for us, right? As you know, as citizens, right? So when you go here, it says all the Cherokees and free person who were formerly slaves to any Cherokees, and all free Negroes not having been such slaves who resided in the Cherokee nations prior to the 1st June 1st, 1861, who may within 2 years elect not to reside northeast of the Arkansas River and southeast of the Grand River, shall have the right to settle and occupy the Canadian district southwest of Arkansas, and also all that attack the country line. Hold on. Shit. Hold on, I got the wrong one. Hold on, I'm gonna come back to that because I got the wrong one. I got the wrong one. Let me come back to that. Let me go back. Let me go here real fast. My bad. I got the wrong one on there. Let me go to here. I want y'all to see this, right? Let's go to this lady, Belinda Sutton, right? Belinda Sutton was the first woman to actually file for some form of reparations at the time, right? Now, this woman here, Belinda Sutton, she was born in 1773, was part of the African continent, also known as Belinda Royale, was a woman born in what is now Ghana, who was enslaved by the Royal family at the Royal House of Slave Quarters in Medford, Massachusetts, USA. Additional details of the Sutton's family life are undergoing, right? So here, right, she was enslaved, and she put in a petition to get reparations for slavery. In February 1783, Sutton presented a petition to the Massachusetts General Court requesting a pension from the proceeds of her enslaved estate. The vivid petition text was crafted to describe Belinda's kidnapping in Africa and subsequent hardships, and to condemn the practice of slavery. Some scholars suggest that she was assisted by Prince Hall, right? By Prince Hall, a local free African American and anti-slave activist of the Revolutionary War. Other scholars pointed to a wider Black community and collective knowledge of prior legal cases in the Commonwealth. The first petition requested suggests that Sutton was a major supporter of her daughter. So in her petition, she referred, well, basically she put in a petition and got money, right? She put in a petition to the U.S. government and won, and she was the first person to actually get some form of reparations, right? Look this woman up. 1788 petition she referred to as the widow, right? Subsequent petitions to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts indicate that after two initial payments, the pensions petition were not forthcoming. She continued the petition for the back payments until the final filings of 1793. Later legal documents referred to the royal servant's death having transpired, but when and under circumstances remain unknown at this time. But she was a woman that put in for a petition and actually got paid. She actually started getting money, right? So you can look this woman up. Her name was Belinda Sutton. She was part of the Royale plantation, right? But I got to put this other thing in because I made a mistake. But I want to transition and move over to here, and then we'll come back to the Treaty of 1866 with the Cherokee. I put the wrong one in by accident. It kind of threw me off. But I want to get back to why the Africans is trying to tie us in, right? And I want to start off over here. Real fast. My bad. I want y'all to see this.
The rate was for one slave taken aboard ships to Americas. 6 or 7 other Africans died in Africa as victims of the slave trade for 4 centuries.
What are the long-term consequences of that?
The consequences is the development of Africa, just because they chose the youngest and the strongest from Africa to Americas.
And do you believe that this has contributed to the underdevelopment of Africa?
Absolutely. Because the population of Africa, they destroyed completely so the African family structure. It's the first step. And the second step is in population, in terms of population in Africa. And also in terms of workers, because they need the strongest and the youngest.
Now, when slavery ended on paper, it did not end in reality. What it left behind were structures, economic, political, and psychological, that still shape Africa and the modern world today. And to understand these legacies, we have to look in 3 directions at once: Africa itself, the African diaspora, and the global system that emerged from both. Number 1, what slavery did to Africa. Most immediate impact of slavery on Africa was demographic. Over centuries, Africa lost tens of millions of...
Now, I want y'all to pay attention to how they work and they try this in. Now, I'm telling you guys, these people are being funded to come out here now and run interference because it's going with their global agenda or what they're trying to do. So they're taking away from our story. The reason why I'm showing you our story, because our story is separate from theirs, but they're combining the story. So when they show these pictures, they show pictures of slaves, right? They're not in Africa.
People, disproportionately young, able-bodied, and skilled. And that loss mattered. It meant fewer farmers, artisans, and traders, fewer soldiers to defend territories, fewer leaders to sustain political continuity. Entire regions experienced population collapse. But the damage went deeper than numbers. Slavery distorted African political systems. States reorganized around capture and defense. Violence became normalized as a survival strategy. Trust between neighboring communities eroded. Economically, Africa was pulled into the global system not as a producer of value, but as a supplier of human beings. That extraction delayed industrial development and locked many regions into patterns of dependency that colonization would later formalize. Slavery didn't just weaken Africa, you see. It reoriented it away from internal development.
So now this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Where does this lady come from? Where does this lady come from out of nowhere, right? So now she's coming here and she's educating Black people on slavery. She's educating Black Americans on what slavery is. Now, mind you, she's an African, right? Show me where Africans in the last 20 years was really coming out and talking about slavery like that. Show it to me. All of a sudden, they have this Ghana's president is leading the charge and they're pushing ahead for reparations for Africa. But they need the transatlantic slave trade narrative to go along with their narrative. So now where does that place us? Where are we at in the story, right? So if you notice, she's been circulating now because she went on there and she went after FBA. She went after FBA because you got a lot of ignorant people, right? Because FBA, to go after FBA is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to go after FBA because the thing is FBA is new. They're not holding account. They're not holding these other groups accountable.
And toward external demand. 2, the creation of the African diaspora. Slavery also produced something unprecedented. A global African diaspora scattered across continents through force. Today, tens of millions of people of African descent live in the Americas, in the Caribbean, in Europe, in the Middle East. The diaspora is not an accident of migration. It is a direct outcome of extraction. African cultures survived, but in fragments. Languages reshaped, spiritual systems adapted, identities rebuilt under constraint.
Now, listen,
The diaspora carried Africa's humanity forward, but often without land, sovereignty, or historical.
Now listen to how she sound. Often without land, sovereignty, and all this foolishness, man.
Continuity. This is why questions of identity, belonging, and memory remain so charged today on the continent and beyond.
Wait, whoa. Longing and memory and identity. No. See, y'all gotta listen and how they play these games. It's not a problem with identity. We live here in America. We know some of our people say that they're not of African descent, but a majority of our people say that we are of African descent, but we are our own people. We are our own people. We're not African. You know how many Africans I didn't encounter that told me I wasn't African? They tell me I'm not African, I'm Wolof. I'm not African, I'm Mandingo. I'm not African, I'm Yoruba or Fulani or Ga or Ashanti or they all these different groups, right? But all of a sudden we got to be held to the standard. No, we are of African descent, but we're foundational Black Americans. We have our own identity, separate from you. Separate from you. We have our own story, separate from you. We live here, and our people live here. Our people live here. And we have a whole story here of different things that we've been fighting here, separate from you. But again,
The diaspora represents Africa's displaced capital, human, cultural, and intellectual. And number 3, how slavery distorted global power. And this is perhaps the least acknowledged legacy of slavery. What it did to the world. The wealth extracted from enslaved African labor. What did it do? It financed European empires. It built ports, banks, and insurance markets. It fueled the Industrial Revolution. Modern global capitalism did not emerge in isolation. It emerged alongside slavery and was shaped by it. At the same time, Africa was drained of labor and destabilized. Europe accumulated capital and technology. The Americas were built as settler and plantation economies. This created a global hierarchy that still exists today.
Now, this was the same woman, right, that was trying to merge our story with the global African story, right? Now, think about it, though. When you merge our story with the global African story, right, Africans still get to be so-called African in their groups, but what happens to us? Who are we? What's our identity? What's our story? See, because if you merge our story with their story, we don't have a story no more. Because now they're saying that, like the president from Ghana, you stole during the transatlantic slave trade, you stole these people and took them to America, and they went to America and built America. We want our people back, or these are people. No, matter of fact, I rephrase that. They don't want their people back. They want to use that as a catalyst for their reparations argument. Where do we come into play with that, though? Where do we come into play?
Some regions entered modernity with accumulated wealth. Others entered it already in debt, materially and structurally. That imbalance did not disappear with abolition. It compounded. The through line? Slavery did not simply create suffering. It created inequality at scale. It linked African underdevelopment to Western development, not by...
And see, she's in America, right? And this is the thing. They're not really sitting down. Show me any one of these groups that really came to sit down with foundational Black Americans to find out exactly what our agenda is without trying to tell us what our agenda is. See, it's too much of this going on. You have too many people like this woman here, right? You have way too many people like this woman.
It is an act of desperation to call yourself anything other than what you are. Why are you always looking to be called something else? We are a rich culture. We are a beautiful culture. And when you have a high cultural self-esteem, then you go anywhere in the world, and it is not reductive to be in proximity to anyone else. I never feel small in Nigeria. When I leave Nigeria, I even feel more full. You know what I'm saying? Because I can see so many similarities. I can embrace the Nigerian national culture, but also all the ethnicities within it for its each individual beauty. It makes me feel fuller.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when you have that high, just like cultural self-esteem, right? It just makes it so much easier. So I don't subscribe to this whole foundational Black American, the Hotep, the Sulan, the flag, all this. What's wrong with being African American?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So this is the thing, right? I keep telling you guys, one of our biggest detractors in this is going to be our own people, because they've been conditioned to see themselves through the lens of what you've been told to be. So now she'll run over to the Africans and make these statements, but the Africans never stop being who they are. They sitting down as Africans, as Nigerians, having a conversation with her. They never stop being Nigerian. She got a problem with being foundational Black American, but she's running to Africa to try to find an identity. They're not telling her, well, you know what? You have an identity. You're a foundational Black American. You may be of African descent, but you are who your parents are. You are who your people became. No, they're not going to tell her that. They're going to sit there and listen to her. They're going to laugh. But at the end of the day, nobody's telling them to not be Nigerian. They have their identity. What's wrong with us having our own identity? And our people don't understand, because we've been told for so many years and taught to go outside of ourselves for everything that we need, and to give everything away to everybody else. What do we keep for ourselves? So when you hear this woman talking, she don't have a problem with the Africans. She got a problem with her own people identifying themselves. She has a problem with her own people, her own group identifying themselves. And I'm gonna say this: she's a victim, because we've been lied to.
Saying you're trying to take the African out of it because you're anti-African, because you're xenophobic. The foundational people are crazy.
Let's just you see the Africans, when she say that, they're laughing like it's funny. It's funny to them because they know the truth. See, I've shown videos where I've shown Africans say that we don't have a culture. They say that they don't call themselves African. They speak based off their tribal name and lineage, right? So when she say these foundational Black Americans are crazy, of course they laugh. Of course they laugh. But see, if you notice, they never really come sit down with knowledgeable foundational Black Americans that know our story and our history. Most of our people, and I'm gonna say this, I gotta be honest, man. Most of our peoples are victims of a lie that's been put on our people. Don't really be too mad at her. Listen to what I'm saying. Remember, I tell y'all, take away the emotion. Don't be too mad at her. She is a victim of generations and generations and generations of our people being telling us to be Pan-Africanists and to look towards Africa and not to ourselves. We've been told to go outside of ourselves. She's in Africa, trying to find herself because she's never been taught to find herself here. I come out of Pan-Africanism, they was teaching us this. This woman is a victim. Most of your mama, my auntie, my mama, your mom, they're all victims of false teachings. They got you looking to Africa when Africa is looking everywhere else. So it's easy for her to get up here and make these statements. But do you think them Africans are going to correct her? No, they think it's funny. See, those Africans, FBA convo, they have their identity. She in Africa trying to find hers, not realizing that you got a whole 500 years of history right here on the shores of America. A whole history, a whole ethnogenesis. And she's running from that to run to something. She's trying to find herself in something else. But then she's mad at us for trying to self-identify and claim our own selves.
Let's start there. It is an act of desperation to call yourself anything other than what you are. Why are you always looking to be called something else? We are a rich culture. We are a beautiful culture. And when you have a high cultural self-esteem, then you go anywhere in the world, and it is not reductive to be in proximity to anyone else. I never feel small in Nigeria. When I leave Nigeria, I even feel more full. You know what I'm saying? Because I can see so many similarities. I can embrace the Nigerian national culture, but also all the ethnicities within it for its each individual beauty. It makes me feel fuller.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when you have that high, just like cultural self-esteem, right? It just makes it so much easier. So I don't subscribe to this whole foundational Black American, the Hotep, the Sulan, the flag, all this. What's wrong with being African American?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're trying to take the African out of it because you're anti-African, because you're xenophobic.
So we're anti-African. Remember I told y'all, the most flat, and my brother Doug said something too. Doug said something important. Doug said that a lot of our people are not online. They're not privy to FBA American, what the FBA American thing is. And I get it because I'm outside. A lot of people don't know what FBA is. And the majority of our people, a very large portion of our people are still looking towards Africa. And we're still trained on that democratic plantation to give everything that we have to everybody else and keep nothing for ourselves. We've been trained to do that. So while some of y'all may get mad at her, some of y'all got to look at yourself in the mirror because y'all practice the same thing she's practicing. And I ain't talking about us in here because we more on the FBA movement, but a lot of people are practicing that. A lot of people are practicing, and it don't matter if she's Nigerian or not. A lot of Black Americans are practicing this. It's in your household, bro. It's in your barbecues. Your mama talk like this. Listen. If we get a lot of people to be 100% real, hold on. Everybody stop saying she's not FBA for a minute because we get stuff and we run. Listen. Everybody listen to what I'm telling you for a minute because I want transparency and honesty. We're going to take her off the screen for a minute so y'all don't be distracted. Let's take her off the screen for a minute. Watch this. Watch this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Watch this. When y'all at the bar, put a 1 in the thing, and y'all better not lie to me. When y'all at the barbecue or Thanksgiving dinner, how many of y'all mamas and aunties and families still vote Democrat and was supporting Kamala to be the president? And they went and got them shots and everything. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 if it didn't happen. Because we're going to separate the lie from the job right now. We're going to stop playing. In our own families here in America, families went and got that shot. They vote Democrat. They want Kamala to be the president. These are FBAs, our families. So we're going to start there. So y'all going to stop miss me with, oh, everybody's an immigrant. No, it's in our own house. That's why we started. You know what? Let me take the gloves off. You know what? Gloves off. I know it's Sunday and I'm being nice, but nope, I ain't being nice. I'm going to talk to the FBA family now. FBA wasn't started because of immigrants. Foundational Black Americans the term was not started because of immigrants. It wasn't started because of Africans or Caribbeans or Latinos. It was started because we got too many foundational Black American traitors. Dr. Claude Anderson was teaching 40 years ago, trying to warn our people which way to go, trying to tell our people where they should vote, trying to tell our people money that was allotted to us, and they wasn't listening. Dr. Claude Anderson warned us in videos 35 years ago what was going to happen, and our people wasn't listening. It was our people that wasn't listening. Foundational Black Americans now is a young grassroots organization going to war against older foundational Black Americans. Take all the immigrants out for a minute. The immigrants is irrelevant. It's FBA Americans, Black, that's okaying these immigrants to come in. It's FBAs that's allowing that to happen. In the Black clergy that got all these immigrants on the Black clergy. That's foundational Black Americans that okayed that. Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about this. He was calling them out. Dr. Nellie Fuller was warning us against our own people, our own Coon class and Sambo class. If you go all the way back to A. Philip Randolph, he was a restrictionist, going against the NAACP because they was allowing all these West Indians to come in that didn't want to get citizenship, that didn't want to be a part of our struggle 100 years ago. So foundational Black Americans was brought in place to stop other foundational Black Americans from running us into a hole. It's other foundational Black Americans that got them mayor of Chicago as an FBA. It's the older generation of FBAs is the ones that's causing this rift and this problem. They're the ones that's creating the all-inclusive societies. So the young grassroots is going to war with the older grassroots. If you want to be technical, the immigrants is irrelevant because the immigrants is able to infiltrate and come in through the back door with the help of our own people. So miss me with the bullcrap. So again, when I ask the question, in the foundational Black American community, in the summertime, at the barbecue, your mama still vote Democrat. Your mama hate Trump. Whatever the Democrats go with, that's who they ride with. I know my people. I know where our mindset is. A lot of us in these places, we ain't looked at it as the enemy. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Go over to your family house on a Sunday and start talking against them immigrants. Start talking against the Democrats. You're going to have problems in your own household amongst your own people. I told you guys, the biggest fight that we going to have is with our own people. Because a lot of that generation has to die off. Foundational Black American was created because we were disgruntled and we was upset with the people that we trusted to lead us. We were upset with years and years and years of sellouts and supporting the Democrats who delivered nothing when we already knew that the Republicans was racist. And we start watching an influx of these immigrants come in. And they're coming in and they're going against us. And they start getting into power. The Byron Donalds, the Candace Owens, Joy Reid, Stephen A. Smith, all these Black folks coming in. How you think they getting in there? Who you think allowing them? It's your Democratic Party. The Black foundational American Democrats with this all-inclusive society was allowing them to come in. And when they came in, and they start looking at you talking crazy, right? Y'all don't believe me? Watch this. Watch this, y'all.
Who come from families who are middle class, pretty decent, I'm not saying well off.
Out there trapping up in the mountains, dude. Come on, let's not go there.
No, we have to go there.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I do believe there's a deterioration of, I would probably say, of just even the family culture, even the Black community, that I think affects this a little bit. Let's be honest. Are we not gonna? And I'm not saying that some of it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that these other places are perfect.
But damn, Jamaica though. The family structure in Jamaica, how is that? Jamaica, most of the people in poverty over there. How's that a good family structure?
Okay, well, we're not talking about necessarily finance at this point. We're talking about, for example,
right? We're not. We're just talking about culture.
When you see delinquents, at least this is from my point of view. When you see delinquents in a place like Jamaica, usually that family is so impoverished, it's crazy. I've seen people just or families or people who come from families who are middle class, pretty decent. I'm not saying well off, but they're just not taking advantage of opportunities. And that's my whole point.
Who's not? How are we not taking advantage of opportunities? Because we're the ones who created the opportunities for immigrant groups to come over here.
Immigrants, I feel like when we get here, we're trying to take advantage of every opportunity, granted whether we create it or not. And I feel like a lot of times I'm having conversations with FBAs, right? Who I feel like opportunities there in front of them, they're not taking advantage of it.
What are we
now? Again, this is what I'm talking about. This is what A. Philip Randolph was talking about. Now, this guy comes into America, and he makes his money on social media because he was watching other Black Americans go to work on social media and put their work in. He made a lot of money, and because now he's made his money, he has the audacity to come here and say that Black Americans is not taking advantage. Now, think about this. I want you guys to think. It's not the fact that he's saying that he's making a statement. It's the fact that in his mind, he believes that he's correct in saying what he's saying. Not realizing what Tariq was going to tell him. Where have you guys come and done that we haven't done? We opened up the door and the lanes for y'all. Remember, I told you, we loved everybody. We always got our arms open for everybody. That democratic plantation way of thinking. Loving everybody. Every Big Mama, you bring your friend home, Big Mama feed them, clothe them, bathe them, everybody, everything, right? That's our mentality. That's how we was. You black, you down, you was a brother. And we learned that we can't do that. We can't do that no more because they come here and do this. Why would he even come, knowing that he come from where he come from? Why would he even come here with that mindset? Godfrey don't talk like that. Godfrey don't talk like that. But in our culture, because we were such civilized people, Big Mama loved everybody. It's the truth.
not taking advantage of that you're taking advantage of? Y'all come over here and be
I think school is one of the things.
Dude, we do the school thing, dude. We do that. And
Tariq,
then we do, and then we do business.
I guarantee, and I know you're a guy who's definitely also probably focused on like statistics and numbers as well.
Right.
I guarantee if we grab like statistics of immigrant Americans, this is all black people, right? Immigrant black Americans versus FBAs at whatever college, I guarantee immigrant black Americans are doing better on a average. You don't.
I want y'all to hear what he's saying. They talk like this amongst their own people. They don't spend the time to come here and learn our story and the history of the people that was here before them because they don't care nothing about you. So the reason why this thing is so strong and it seems like it's such hate because our older generation, our own people, let us down by allowing these people to come in here with this mindset. They did this. They failed us by doing this. They allowed this because he ain't the only one to talk like this. So I'm telling you, Foundational Black American was created to combat the older Foundational Black Americans, not him. Listen to what I'm saying to you. He not the problem. It's our people that support him in this. And there's a whole lot of them that support it. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Let me see something. George, I agree with him. 30% of my clients are foreign. I see the difference. We don't see the advantages. No, I disagree with that, Doug. No. See, this is the thing. Right, brother Doug? I disagree. You got foreigners, but foreigners are here in a very small number. We're here in millions. So the problem that you're doing, brother Doug, is you're comparing a very small number, minute number, to a greater number. So if you take 1 million of us and send us to a foreign land, we'll outnumber them too, because we're in a foreign land that don't belong to us, and we're going to go there as a group to take advantage of all the opportunities. In America, you got like 60 million black Americans. We get up and go to work every day. We can't have $1 trillion spending power. We're not working, paying taxes. You got a whole bunch of successful black people that's taking advantage of America. We got to stop subscribing to that, right? So now if you got 3 million of these people here, and you know what they show? They show maybe the 200,000 of them as flourishing, but they don't show all the drug dealing and welfare recipients in this country as well, and the ones that's here illegal. So that they're not outpacing us. That's a lie. That's a lie that they run with. They're not doing nothing that we haven't done. Everything that they're doing, we got here too. Now, could we be doing a little better? Absolutely. But you know what's funny, Doug? We got them. It's just that a lot of them are connected to our coon sellout class. Unfortunately, they're there. They're there. They exist. But their number is so small and minute that like it's a bunch of malarkey, it's a bunch of trash that they're talking. But let's go, because I got like 20 more minutes. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna have to come back and restream.
Think so.
If I send
and then you tell me why.
If I send 5 foundational Black Americans to Jamaica who got money, on average, they're going to be doing better than the average Jamaican. If you send a select group of people anywhere that you've cherry picked,
you're saying who has money,
that's what I'm saying. If you send a small group of people anywhere, on average, they're going to appear to do better if you crunch the numbers a certain way. But that's just not true that you're doing better over here. What would explain that? If you say it's the family structure, then why are you not doing better in your homeland?
Watch, look.
Well,
see?
Okay, so I get what you're saying. You're trying to equate it to there. I don't think you could equate to what's going on in the homeland.
Why not?
Hold on.
Because if you got all of that, family structure, home training, how come it don't work where you come from?
No, it's about an immigrant. It's not about. So I'm not vouching. I'm not trying to say Jamaicans are just better or harder workers, right? Jamaican Americans, Black Jamaican Americans,
any immigrant.
I'm talking about immigrants.
Any of them. If they're so much thorough than us, how come they don't do better in their homeland?
No, see, Doug, I disagree. It's not us getting defensive. We can't be open-minded. No, they're not doing none of that stuff that they claim in their own country. See, they have a whole country where they're the majority of people. They're not doing none of that stuff. But we know what they get the excuse. Oh, the government is messing them up, right? Where here we have a whole government that was messing us up too. And a lot of our people are psychologically damaged. A lot of our people have to be retrained to believe that they can do these things over again because of what they've done to us. But the thing is, Doug, even you, my brother, you've been conditioned to make excuses for them by holding your people to you're holding your people to a different standard than you're holding them, because they come from a country where they are the majority and they should be able to flourish in their countries, but they're not. But then when they come here in small numbers, they flourish, and then we looking at our people like we crazy. No. They ain't no better than us at all. And they're not doing nothing that we haven't done. So as FBAs, we got to start holding our own selves and our minds up to a higher standard, because we have a lot of people that's doing a lot of different things. Our biggest problem is we got to start coming together and combining what we're doing. They come here in small groups as minority groups, and they do it. But the mere fact that what he's saying in this conversation lets you know why we should be separated. Because if you say that you don't want us to delineate, he shouldn't even have that mindset. Why, if we are one people, why are you coming here saying that you work harder than us? Think about that. Why are you coming here saying you work harder than us? I thought we was all together. I thought your win is my win and my win is your win. Oh, that's what I thought. I thought my win was your win. Oh, I was wrong. Oh, okay, my bad.
Tariq, let's be honest. I'm telling you, because there's a lack of opportunity in the homeland that you're from, the people who
then how
do
come
come
they
over
don't
here
create the opportunity like we did? We created the opportunities here.
I mean, also the white man did too.
Well, who made the white man create them? They didn't want to give us nothing.
We're not.
Let's be very clear.
We're not taking away from the contribution of
you can sit there and pop your collar.
Did you hear what he just said? Listen,
are just better or harder workers, right? Jamaican Americans, Black Jamaican Americans.
Any immigrant.
I'm talking about immigrants.
Any of them. If they're so much thorough than us, how come they don't do better in their homeland?
Tariq, let's be honest. I'm telling you, because there's a lack of opportunity in the homeland that you're from, the people who
then how come they don't
here,
create the opportunity like we did? We created the opportunities here.
I mean, also the white man did too.
Well, who made the white man create them? They didn't want to give us nothing.
We're not.
Let's be very clear.
We're not taking away from
now pause that. Hey, Doug, did you just hear what he just said? He said we said, despite what we were going through, despite black codes, despite civil rights, despite broken treaties, everything, we created the opportunities. His response was also the white man helped you. See, hold on. Let me do this real fast, man. His response was to invoke the white man. He invoked the white man because they believe, listen to what I'm telling y'all. They believe that the only reason why we was able to achieve the things we achieved is because of close proximity to the white man. Because in their countries where they're predominantly black in numbers, they haven't been able to do it. So they look at us when they come here now and say we're outpacing you because now we got close proximity to the white man. And now they let us in and we're going to outdo you niggas. So now we automatically become the enemy, not that W man. See, that's what I'm talking about, Doug. That's the point you're missing. He said it, not me, my brother Doug. This is their mentality. Their mentality is, forget our accomplishments. Man, y'all only did that because the white man let you in the room. That's what they say. And you don't believe me? You don't believe me? Watch this. Hold on. We're going to watch this. Watch what he say. I got 10 more minutes. Watch this, y'all.
That dude, what's the Myron guy? That dude is from like Sudan. People are dropping dead of hunger over in his homeland. You're not qualified to say anything about a foundation of Black America.
Watch this, y'all.
Your family back home with flies all over the place. And I'm not even trying to disparage, but man, it's not popping over there. You got to fix your homeland before you speak about any foundational Black American over here. That's why people got on his bumper, because we don't like that type of disrespect. You know?
Do you feel like, and you know, I've seen like some criticism of them, you know, they've chalked it up. And by the way, in the same clip, I think they were pretty, you know, people know they do fuck with white women, you know?
Of course.
Do you think that it's a Caribbean thing though?
I want y'all to listen to what you're about to say. I'm about to checkmate this whole thing before I get out of here. And I'm going to come back on part 2 and start off on this. I'm going to checkmate this whole thing when it comes to them and the way that they think and why you can't unify with these people. Watch this.
Let's be real. A lot of non-FBA people, not all, but a lot of non-FBA people kind of worship white folks.
You think there's a fetishizing of white?
Because you live in these countries where it's all Black people. All you see are Black people. And whenever you see a white person, they're coming in giving you something. Anything positive, you think a white person is bringing it to you. You go to Jamaica, I've been all over. I love Jamaica, but I go to the beach and brothers out there with them white women.
Yeah,
like they're holding on to Jesus, brother.
I'm gonna be honest. So I grew up in the countryside. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
Yeah, and whenever you see a white person, they're coming in giving you something.
When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town. When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town. When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
One more time.
When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
Yes.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa.
Exactly. They worship white, and it's
when it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
Yes.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa. It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa. It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa. It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa. It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa.
Exactly.
So how can you unify with, listen, this is their mentality. Why do you think they can't wait to get the Pink Panther in their womb or sniff some W cooch? This is why when he talking, he started invoking the W man. He said that we achieved these things because we had help of the W man. We created our own. We created our own thing here, and then allowed them to come. They believe we only created this thing here and allowed them to come because we had the W man. But he's telling you, as a Jamaican, the way they viewed the W man.
Exactly. They worship white, and it's worse than Africa.
So you think it's manifested in a way where, like, you know, and I'm not talking about those brothers disparaging, because I do feel like I fit in the same category with them because I'm an immigrant too. They're immigrants. I think I have some self-awareness, and I could see.
You only got self-awareness because you came here around us. See, this is what I'm saying right before I go. They got self-awareness because they came around us. See, they looked over the hill, they looked over the mountain, and they saw successful Black people. But they remembered, man, the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints came and they brought gifts and food. And that W woman even sat on my face, right? Yeah, she even gave me some of that cooch and told me she gonna bring me to America. This is the way that they think. A lot of them, not all of them, but a large portion of them. That's why they come here and speak against your reparations. They don't believe you deserve anything. How you going to unify? So he has this frame of reference of what the W man is because he came to us. When he was down there, he thought the W man was Santa Claus. He said it in his own words.
Where even what you're saying, I don't think it's completely bullshit.
Right.
I think, I don't know if it's all black men, but I definitely think, even I went through probably a phase of like, oh shit, I want to fuck some white girls.
Yeah, because again, you're told that white people are God almost. And I know Caribbean parents tell their children, find you a white person, find you a cool white person. They tell their girls, find you a white man. These girls put on their little divestment wigs and go out here and try to find them a white dude. Over here, we don't give a fuck about no white people. We didn't live with white people. We see them living in trailer parks. We know that these are not gods. We see how some of them are.
So then let me advance the conversation, and I'm playing devil's advocate, but I think it would have been a great. Well, I don't know if they're at the race relations debate.
Oh, I'm gonna pause this. I gotta do a part 2 to this because I gotta leave out and come back. I gotta leave out. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this. We're gonna pick up on this because I want you guys, and this is an interview that he did with academics 3 years ago, and we gotta have this conversation with these people because they come here and they got this thought process. But I'm telling you, they look at the W man as something greater than themselves, man. And they always say we only achieve the things that we achieved because we got close proximity to the W man, while at the same time trying to tell you to unify with them and take away your history. While at the same time they can't wait to get the Pink Panther in their womb. Or have some or sniff some white cooch. They can't wait. We been here under the foot of this man, so we know who this W man is. They come from a country where it's predominantly them, so they look at other people that look like them as the enemy, not that W man. That W man is Superman. Why y'all think I wear that shirt when I'm slaying Superman? I'm slaying W supremacy in my mind. I'm wiping it out. And then they come here and they got the audacity to say that they outpacing us. The reason why they can say they outpacing you because they don't respect you. Because they believe that you only did this because you are here with the W man. That's the way that they view you. That's the way that they see you. All right. So look forward. I got part 2 either coming tonight or tomorrow. We're going to pick up on this. We're going to pick up on this and we're going to do a deep, thorough dive into the mindset of the African and Caribbean when they want to come here. Now, you got a lot that are riders. Don't get me wrong. So shout out to my Haitian, Jamaicans, Africans that are riders that understand what I'm saying, and they know that I'm not attacking them. I'm attacking the coon class, the Sambo class, the one that look at the W man as Superman and the W woman as Wonder Woman. You can't wait to put your face in between her cheeks. Only because she's W. That's it. Nothing else. Only because she's a W. Something's wrong with you. You suffer from crackatosis, acute white affinity syndrome. You got it real bad, right? And we got to get that out you, right? So remember, family, Foundational Black Americans wasn't created for them. Foundational Black American was created to go against other Foundational Black Americans that's been selling us out, that's been allowing them to come in here and run around, right? We got to get that crackatosis about you, man. Remember, the acute white affinity syndrome. Y'all, a lot of y'all got it real bad. And we gotta get get some remedies, man. We gotta make some elixirs or something to get that about you, man. Because y'all suffering real bad. So remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator most high that these words are enough to inspire you. These words are enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words are enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that when you came in for information. And when you leave here greater than what you was before you came. I hope that you get that crackatosis out of you, man. You got to get it out of you, man. That crackatosis is a sickness, man. And it's killing you, man. You're sick. You got to get that crackatosis out of you, man. It got to go, man. It got to go. And that Foundational Black American is part of the remedy, man. We're extracting that poison up out of your mind, man, because when you see that W man or W woman, you get on your knees and you get to crying and acting crazy. How are we going to unify with somebody like that? You ain't going to be able to do that, man. So remember, I love y'all. To the next time, look forward for part 2. I'm sorry I had to cut this short. I got to go pick up my wife. I got some stuff. It's my grandbaby's birthday today, so I got some stuff with my grandbaby, but I'm a add on to this maybe tonight or tomorrow. All right, peace.